Welcome to Brain Wellness, the podcast. I'm your host, Mandy NP. What started as all things related to brain health and wellness has morphed into largely brain injury health and wellness, with occasional other neurological topics. My mission remains the same, to help you on the path to a healthier brain. So, without further ado, let's get into the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Brain Wellness, the podcast. My guest today is actually one of my kiddos. So here in the United States, it is Mother's Day on the day that we're recording this. Mother's Day week is coming up ahead when this show comes out. But I thought I would do a little bit of a Mother's Day-ish episode. And as I've been taking care of my patients in clinic, a lot of questions come up from especially my patients who are moms, and they have concerns about what's going on. And the kids did come on the show a long time ago. I had to look back. It was episode 63, way back at the end of 2023 after the car accident. The three of them still living in the house here came on and shared kind of some of their views on recovery in a brief little episode with some humor and some seriousness. And then today I wanted to bring some of them back for a show, and I got one of them to come join me again. So to come back and talk a little bit more in depth. You guys are all a little bit older, have been able to process things a little bit, and I thought maybe you could help share some information to our listeners on what kind of it looked like from your perspective as we talk about things too, and just kind of giving a little bit of advice perhaps as we go through. So again, a lot of my patients have raised concerns about not feeling like a good parent after their injury. They feel like they are not able to spend time with their kids. They're not able to let their kids be kids. And especially people that are coming from divorced households, they're concerned about whether or not their kids will want to spend time with them versus spending time with their other parents, because they just don't feel that connection there that they used to have. And some of those were concerns that I had, especially in that first year, but I've raised some of those concerns to you guys as we went along too. So joining me on the show today is my now 16-year-old, almost 17 this month. My goodness.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I know. Hayden, my middle child. And we were talking a little bit before we hit record here on what the bios typically look like that I read out for my guests. So Hayden is a former swimmer, now a theater buff. He's on the school theater board, member of that board, very active with that, very active in theater. You've played in Grease. You've played in
Legally Blonde.
Anything
Goes, Footloose.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
And very active in choir and all of that fun stuff too. Lots of good activity, and some of the things have kept you out of the house, but you're driving now, so you're a little bit more independent than you were when the injury happens. Very active kid, very busy.
All of these are extremely relevant to my knowledge about brain wellness.
That's okay. That's right. Because what you do know about it is your perspective being my child and watching me go through my injury. And as I always tell my patients, it's not just the person that had the injury that's my patient. Everybody in the family is, because it affects spouses, it affects children, it affects parents. And anybody in the family can be affected after a brain injury. So you don't have to be an expert in this, because you become an expert by going through this experience.
Absolutely.
Yes, you can tie that tie a little bit tighter.
Tighten up the tie.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the questions I'm going to ask you today, I just want this to be just kind of a real conversation. What happened in these last few years in our family? And I know that you're just one person and one person's experience, but that one person's experience can make a huge difference in letting somebody else know that they're not alone. So, yeah. So first off, I want to ask you just kind of what were some of your biggest frustrations in the journey through my brain injury and how it affected our family?
Well, for one, it was that time at the Mall of America. I'm kidding. That was a one-time thing. I was more like concerned than anything. I guess.
Well, we can share some of that too.
I mean, we can.
Mall of America is here in the Twin Cities, and Hayden wanted to go to the Mall of America to spend some time with his friends. This was not long after my accident.
No, not very. Only a few months.
And at that point, I was very, very sensitive to sounds, everything. And the mall was very busy, and there wasn't a whole lot of communication because you guys were a little bit younger and not great at communication. Not saying that your communication is fantastic these days, but it was
it's better.
It was even worse at that point. And I had a little bit of a meltdown, and we ended up leaving. So how did that affect you?
Well, I was like ever so slightly embarrassed because I wasn't able to hang out with my friends like we'd planned, but not like to a crazy degree because like there weren't a whole lot of inside jokes that were made that day, so I didn't really feel too left out. I don't even remember what they did that day, so just tell you how relevant that is. But more than anything that day, I was concerned. I wanted to make sure that you were okay, that you weren't going to have a meltdown, that you were safe to drive partially.
Valid.
Because I don't think I had my permit at that point. I wouldn't have been able to drive.
I was the only one in that car legally able to drive
Yup.
that day. So, yes.
So yeah, mostly like from that experience, it was just concern
Mhm.
more than anything. Like frustrations, I've like been a little annoyed because sometimes you've forgotten like things that either I've mentioned or that I've like told you about. Like if I tell you like that I have plans coming up, like, and this didn't happen very often, but sometimes you forgot like about plans that, and you're like, whoa, you didn't tell me that this was happening. And I'm all of a sudden supposed to drive you somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I have a swim meet today. Come on. I told you about this last week. But honestly, I wasn't too bummed about missing that swim meet. I don't even think I ever missed a swim meet
I was going to say, I don't
because
think
of
we
that.
missed any swim meets. I think
It
we
was for the purpose of the bit.
I don't think we missed any swim
No,
meet.
I didn't miss a
Yeah,
single
there were
swim meet.
lots of things.
I was late to a few.
So
I was late to a few swim meets.
it'd be vouched.
Never missed any.
Yes.
And like just in general, you were a little more short tempered for a while, which like it was easier to understand because I knew this isn't how she normally is. I'm like, whoa, you're a lot more angry than usual. And it's like, oh, she's more angry than usual because it's not the usual. It's not the norm.
And I know back when I was writing my book about that first year of recovery, when I asked for all you guys' input on how it affected you and things that you thought about, you said something at that point that kind of made me feel a little bit bad because I didn't realize it, but you didn't know if you could talk to me about things because you didn't know how I would respond. Do you remember saying that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah. You know.
We just finished year 3 after the accident, so it was a couple years ago.
It's been a minute.
Right, it has been a
It's been a
minute.
minute.
But that was a thing you had brought up at that point that I literally had no clue because I was not aware of how I was responding
Yeah.
when I was doing that response.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. There were lots of times that I would come back and apologize to all y'all afterwards because I realized how much of a kind of a jerk I had been. But in the moment, I didn't realize it. That hasn't happened for a long time now.
You're a lot better now. Recovery is possible, gentlemen.
Case in point.
Case in
Yes.
point. Welcome back.
That you named my book.
I named that
So
book.
you did.
That was me.
you. What were some of the things that helped you along the path? Was there anything that I did, anything that you read, heard, anything that kind of helped you in this process?
Well, reading. I don't know how to read, so there's that. This is, of course, a joke, but I didn't read a whole lot to like help me through it. There weren't a whole lot of guidebooks, at least not that I knew of. And so I was kind of just figuring a lot of it out on my own. Like I mentioned earlier, like a lot of what helped me was knowing that most of it wasn't your responsibility. It wasn't your fault. I guess it kind of helped to know that it was honestly a similar case to a lot of the instances that we've had with Bryce. I knew that you weren't in complete control and like it was just better to like let it pass over, I guess, and deal with it later because it wasn't worth like getting into right at the moment. So I just knew that there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it, and at least not in the moment, like with any frustrations that I had.
Yeah. And Bryce being my youngest child, your littlest brother, little brother, I
was
guess,
about to
'cause
say,
you
I
have a
don't-
big brother and a little brother, right smack dab in the middle. But the littlest brother has autism, and he is very black and white sometimes, and a little testy at times as well, a little testy. And I have talked before on the show about how I feel like I connect with him a little bit more because I also feel like I'm on the spectrum a little bit of neurodivergence because my brain does not work the same as it did previously, and I'm a little bit more black and white than I used to be. We had lots of conversation. I tried to do my best to explain to you guys of why I was feeling the way I was and letting you know that it was brain injury related. Do you feel like the things that I was explaining to you were helpful? I did that?
Absolutely. Clear communication is everything. Like if we know the justification, even if it doesn't make sense to us, if we know that you have a justification, then it makes it a lot easier to understand. Like if you just go off on us randomly and we don't even know why or what triggered it, then that's kind of like, whoa, she's just being mean for no reason, which I don't believe happened a whole lot. Maybe a few times at most, but not a lot.
I don't remember being
Not.
mean for no reason, but then again, there's a lot I don't just
I was about to
remember.
say the
So
memory.
there's a lot I just don't remember.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that comes up for my patients a lot too, is that they feel like their kids think that they're mean now because they are more short tempered.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a real feeling and a real concern by people more than just myself. So I'm glad that communication helped you realize that it wasn't just me being mean. So, hint to anybody listening that might benefit from that one. Communication goes a long way. Is there anything you wish you had known like early on that you learned later that may have made more sense or help at the moment early on?
I'm trying to think of a good response. I don't know. It was pretty awesome. Anything I wish I'd known.
And this question kind of helps to identify if there's any education that can be provided to kids in case their parents have head injuries or
Yes.
something. Like, what kind of things would have been good to know in that case? Or did I just do a really good job answering everything before you didn't know it?
Well, okay, not necessarily that I wish I'd known because I was decent at it, like from the start, but direct but calm communication. Like, not direct to the point of being blunt, because, like, at that point, it can just feel like you're being attacked. Like, it's like they just think I'm this terrible person. Like, communication, it's a very fragile, delicate subject because like you have to very clearly communicate like what you're feeling, what you want, but you don't want to hurt the person. So you don't want to be too direct. But at a certain point, a little bit of guilt and shame is fine to feel because it helps you to know that you're doing something wrong and that you need to change. But if you have too much of that feeling, then it can be crazy overwhelming. Like, it can feel like you're just doing everything wrong. You have zero control, but you do. Like, there are moments that you don't have control, absolutely. But like before and after those moments, you can definitely do things to help. And part of that is educating like the people around you on how to respond if they start to notice that you're sort of going off the rails a little bit. So a little more education on like how to handle situations like that is definitely helpful. Like whether to walk away, advise the other person to walk away, like different things, like just educating people on how to respond when someone's like having a moment where they don't have complete control. Now, it's a situation that has to be handled very delicately because like, if you do something wrong, then that can make the situation worse and harder to settle down. But something has to be done about it. Like you can't just let it happen because like it's not okay. It's not something that can be just easily permitted, but it needs to be addressed, not so much scolded, especially not in the moment, because if you only are told what you're doing wrong, that can be extremely antagonizing and overwhelming if like you're having a moment where you're not extremely emotionally stable.
So is that like from the kids telling the parents? Like you did a really good job with this, but you are also like you're an unusual child. You are an old soul that's able to communicate really well. So I'm thinking of times when you would come up to me calmly afterwards and say, I don't think that you dealt with this quite well. You did a great job. I don't know that I probably could have addressed it that kindly at the moment, but yeah, that's good advice on that one. Are there any lessons that you learned that you found valuable in all of the things that happened the last 3 years?
Well, definitely got to be careful around comedy because sometimes the sense of humor is affected, and so different things will strike a nerve faster. So, gotta be careful when you're trying to be funny, I suppose. Maybe that's more of a me thing, but I know that there are other people like me that try to make people laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, sarcasm isn't necessarily
Oh,
felt the
sarcasm.
same.
Yeah,
Um,
avoid sarcasm.
although I still like some sarcasm, but yeah, there's a lot that kind of goes in one ear and out the other and gets worked in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta
Humor is not always the same after
yep.
brain injury.
Gotta be more direct because like if you say things and you don't mean them, it's kind of like texting the same thing to the person because it can be taken as very literal, especially if you're working with cases like someone with a TBI.
Yeah. Yeah, I do take things very literally now.
I can't blame you. I do too.
Yeah.
One time Dad asked me to check if there was any toilet paper downstairs. I went downstairs and there was toilet paper. I came back upstairs and I was like, yeah, there's toilet paper. And he was like, can you bring it up, please?
Yeah, I think
He didn't ask me
I
to.
think you've done that more
He
than
didn't,
once.
he didn't ask me to. He didn't ask me to bring the toilet paper upstairs. I'm just saying,
Valid.
he asked me to check if there was any downstairs. And I did.
Valid.
And I did.
Valid.
I did exactly what I was asked.
Very true.
Direct
true.
communication.
Very true.
It's
Very true.
incredible.
Any advice you give to other kids? You talked a little bit about kind of communication bit, but any advice you'd give to other kids whose parents might have had an injury? There's not a lot of kids that listen to the show, but if somebody hears this that your kids need to hear it, maybe you could play this episode for them. So
Yeah.
that's where it comes in. So.
Try not to blame the parent as much. Like, I know sometimes it is on them. 7 times out of 10, it's not. Yes, sometimes there's things that they could have done differently. However, the past is the past. Yet sometimes you have to let things slide to help deal with the bigger issue. A lot of time, and try not, if you get in a debacle with your parent, try not to debate or argue to try to be the person in the right. Try to make the understanding of both people clearer. If you're trying to be the one in the right, especially with people with a TBI, it's going to just go downhill extremely quickly. And you just have to, you're not trying to shame them or make them feel anything. You just have to make them understand. And if that understanding makes them feel something, then that's just fine. But you have to fight more for understanding rather than correctness. That's the biggest thing.
Believe it or not, parents do that all the time. We choose our battles. When I say I'm choosing,
sometimes better than others.
When I say I'm choosing my battles, that's exactly what I mean. You just described choosing your battles.
I don't know. Sometimes you choose the wrong ones.
There are times I choose the wrong ones.
And
probably
people make
more often now than I
mistakes.
did before.
People make mistakes. It happens.
We are human. We are prone to mistakes.
Exactly. It happens.
Do you know there's some magic words that you can say after you make a mistake? Do you know those magic words? There's 2 of them.
I'm right. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the very obvious answer. I'm sorry. A simple apology goes a long way, especially when you mean it. But if you're just like, I'm sorry. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You have to feel it. Because if you don't feel the apology, if it's not sincere, it means nothing.
Then it's just words.
It's just words.
Just words.
Just words. And if you don't try to change anything after the apology, that also isn't helpful. That's also just words.
Yes. Yeah. I forget who told me this at one point.
It was probably me.
That when you apologize to someone, you have to mean it and you have to change what you're doing so that it doesn't happen again. Otherwise, it's not a true apology, which is basically what you just said.
Exactly.
So
it might have been me.
Here you are, folks.
Probably
very wise.
Probably wasn't.
Very wise 6-year-old child.
Probably
I don't think it was.
I
but
don't think it was.
apparently
It's been
you
said by a
learned
lot.
it,
It's been said by a lot of people, but I like it. I like it, and I use it.
I like that you follow it. So
I follow it, yeah.
Good word. Good work.
I follow most of the time. Sometimes I mess up.
Again, we're human.
Yeah.
Talking. Do you have any advice to the parents listening that might be recovering from a brain injury on how they can better connect with their kids?
Well, first things first, a little bit of advice. You're not the bad guy. You're not inherently a villain if you make mistakes. To help your kids, try, and this is a big one, try to be patient with them. You don't have to actually be patient with them, because I know that's a very hard thing to do. And as a Star Wars fan, I know do or do not, there is no try. But this is an instance where I will say trying is okay. Just do what you can to be patient. Try to understand. Most of the time, your kids, they're not trying to attack you. They're trying to help you understand what they felt and what you did that may have caused it. And sometimes they don't realize that the things they're saying may make you feel like you're in the wrong. And sometimes you are in the wrong, but that doesn't make you a bad parent, doesn't make you a bad person. You're still just someone trying to do their best, and it's a little bit harder for you now. But the important thing is that you keep on trying to do your best and understand that your kids are also doing their best. And well, most of the time, they're trying to make things better between you and someone else. Just trying to ease a little bit of tension. And sometimes they're not the best at that, but they're doing what they can. And just try not to take it as personally, because it's not an attack. It's mostly an acknowledgement.
Sometimes you guys can be little a-holes,
Sometimes.
but sometimes so can we as the
I've been
parents.
extremely passive aggressive on occasions, and it's hilarious, but maybe not to the people that I'm being passive aggressive to. I mean, you've been the victim more than anybody of
This
that.
is true. This is true, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You and Dawn mostly.
Indeed.
I mean, you make it easy. You make it easy sometimes.
Probably. Probably.
Hmm.
Probably. So it's been a really long 3 years. Can't believe it's been 3 years now since the injury.
Can't believe it's been 6 years since COVID. Unrelated, but my goodness.
Yes. So in these last 3 years, I finally got back to work a year ago as a nurse practitioner.
Yay!
I'm up to what would be considered full time because I'm benefit eligible now, working 4 days a week
Hey.
and doing all of the things. But what does it mean to you now to have seen me go through this and be able to do what I am now?
Well, I don't know about my other siblings, but I am extremely proud. I would hope that they're also proud. But just remembering where you were and that you were able to tough it out, make it through to where you are, even though it was extremely difficult at times. And maybe I didn't make that easier sometimes, but like I'm glad that you were able to make it through, to keep on fighting, to be the incredible person that I know you are, and just like to know that you were able to keep on fighting, to know that you stayed strong. Sometimes you were strong for a little too long, and you had to like let out a few emotions, let out a few tears. But that happens in regular life too. It's not just the people with TBIs. Just keep fighting and keep trying to do your best.
You trying to get tears to come to my eyes?
Maybe a little bit. No, I'm not. I'm not. I don't like making people cry. Unless I'm on stage, in which case I love it.
My theater.
Or when I'm writing a play.
Yeah, yeah, because the next one coming up is the one that you
Oh
wrote.
yeah, it's gonna be sad.
Yay.
Be sad.
I'm just a little bit proud of you too, kiddo. You come through a lot. I'm proud of all of you for dealing with me for so long because it was not easy. I was not easy to live with for a long time. I acknowledge that. I'd like to think that I'm better, so I hope that that comes through.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
There's a reason for the book title.
yeah,
Man,
but I'm not back all the way yet. So there is that.
you have like 1 foot outside of the door. You just got to get that foot back in the door, and then you're back.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that I'm pretty darn close to who I used to be.
Yeah.
But so there's
And
there's that.
maybe you'll never get there. Okay, this is like off topic from what we were just talking about, but I want to get known. You may not get back to exactly where you were before whatever happened to you. And like part of making it through is accepting that, like knowing the life you had isn't going to be the life that you're going to have. It's kind of like looking back on your high school years, like when you're in college. Yeah, it was good. And you might be able to make some friends that are extremely like the ones that you knew in high school, but it's never going to be exactly the same. You're never going to have that AP test that you're stressing about again. That's a good thing. Trust me, I have one on Monday. That being tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I'm not gonna get you off to sports. Yeah. Study for that one. Funny you bring up the acceptance piece though, honestly, because that kind of brings in Star Wars. Bear with me on this one. So in that book that I wrote, well, my welcome back, that about my first year of recovery, I talked about something that I actually talk about on a regular basis with my patients now. One of my multitude of therapists, because my mental health space was not fantastic after a brain injury, as many of my patients. One of my multitude of therapists brought out her little book at one point and talked to me about acceptance because I did not want to accept myself as I was. I wanted the me that was there before the injury, and I wanted to be back to that, and I didn't want to take anything less than that. And as it turns out, I was in my own way. I was getting in my own way on that because she brought out a little book on acceptance, and we talked about this has come up on the show before, but pain, whether it is emotional or physical, plus non acceptance, not accepting that pain is equal to suffering. So pain plus not acceptance equals suffering. That same pain, physical or emotional, plus acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it. You just have to accept it equals pain. So that suffering part is off. And me being the Star Wars nerd that I was, it reminded me of the path to the dark side. Yeah. So my new goal was to avoid the dark side. So yes, the Star Wars fandom runs thick in this house. But that
How about that? You still haven't seen Mall Shadow Lord.
I know there's some that I haven't seen yet, but anyway.
So-
Still doing a pretty good job.
Okay.
So I bring that up to my patients all the time. And it's a very important piece to identify because you do have to accept it. And I love your analogy of college to high school, actually, even though you haven't gotten to college yet. Far off, my gosh. But it's even your stepdad, Don, always told me that I was never going to be the same person as I was prior to the injury, even if I hadn't had the injury, because everybody changes over time. We all change and things are always different. So it took me a long time to realize all those things. But once I got to that acceptance piece, it actually allowed me to heal better. So once I came to that acceptance and I realized that I wanted to avoid the dark side, it allowed me to actually start healing. And it was kind of remarkable, honestly.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Never the same person that I go to sleep as when I wake up. That's a little Fall Out Boy quote for you right there.
And if you ever want to know if people change over time, pull out your kids' school photos from the year previous and compare them to the current one. I keep them all like back behind each other. And when I put in the new one every year, I lay them out and I look at them and my kids change so much. My gosh, there was a year, I don't remember which year in there, but your jaw just all of a sudden got pronounced like the square jaw. I'm like, where did my little boy go? He just looks like a man now. So, yeah. So. Yes, we all change over time. So thanks for bringing that up, actually. Oh, stop. All right. As we wrap up today, is there any last little bits of wisdom you would like to share with our listeners?
Stay in school, don't do drugs, eat your vegetables.
Those are all good things, but related to this conversation.
Except that you're not who you were. You've woken up a different person today, and that's okay because you're not gonna get yesterday back. You can listen to "Yesterday" by the Beatles as many times as you want, but you're not gonna get back to the day before this one. You're in a new day, and it's a new you, and as long as you can accept that, you're good to go.
Becca played yesterday at our band concert the other day.
I know. That's what made me think of it, actually.
Very nice, very nice.
It was on my mind.
And I've told you that I call myself Mandy 2.0 now, right?
A few times, yeah.
Yeah. It's okay to be a different person because we live and we learn and we grow through those experiences that we have.
9 times out of 10, you're better for it.
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe you're a little more angry now, but that's okay. You make up for it in other places because now you're funny to joke about.
Yeah. Okay.
That one's a joke. I don't make jokes about you.
I make jokes about myself and you laugh at them.
But I'm not making the jokes. That's the key part. That's the key part.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Thanks for joining me. My itty bitty baby.
Oh, yeah. Tiny.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you found something beneficial. If you have other topics you want me to cover on the show, send a message, write a comment. Again, share this with others if you find it helpful to share with anyone in particular. So, yeah, very cool. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Brain Wellness, the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it so that others can benefit. Please also consider supporting the show by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. You can also go to www.brainwellnesssolutions.com to catch the latest info and get links on all of the social medias there. See you next time.